Welcome, folks. I am Jabby Kaway, joined by Achara Kirk.
What's up?
We're looking at Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer breakdown, Easter eggs, and details you missed from New Rockstars. Thank you, New Rockstars, for allowing us to react to this. Very, very much appreciated. Y'all, if you missed it, we did a trailer reaction to the full-length proper trailer to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and then there was a Super Bowl TV spot that we looked at, broke that down. Now we are excited to deep dive with New Rockstars. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications, and vote this up to let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. And while you're subscribing and upvoting, subscribe to New Rockstars. There's a link in the description below. You can click on that and give the original upvote. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of the latest trailer for Marvel's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which assures us
I will always be there, old friend.
checkmate! We are getting an MCU Illuminati lineup, including Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier. What is this movie? I gotta admit, I've outdone myself on this one, folks. Analyzing this trailer frame by frame for details I don't think anyone else is insane enough to see or to talk about. And yeah, I'm also gonna include some stuff in the TV spot version of the trailer and clues in the official poster. And thanks to Truebill for sponsoring today's video. More on them later. Let's get started.
This is gonna be intense.
Every night, I dream the same dream. And then,
so the trailer opens in Strange's nightmare, a frightening hellscape covered in bones and skulls, dead trees bent askew, and in front of him, a representation of the Sanctum Sanctorum melting into inky nothingness like the other New York buildings we saw in the first trailer, all evoking the comic book ink melting of reality in What If Episode 4, except this isn't exactly Strange's Sanctum. It's significantly thinner than we last saw in Spider-Man No Way Home, and it is one floor taller. The effect is a more gaunt structure, like a croaking haunted hotel. What was his healthy Sanctum Fortress is now a withering skeleton of itself.
Isn't the Sanctum Sanctorum connected to other buildings right adjacent to it? Kind of like, you know, like in England,
like an apartment building.
Yeah, like in England, you got these long stretches of blocks and the like buildings are connected and whatever. I'm just looking at it as he's explaining it. I'm like, is it taller? Is it?
It does seem. It looks thinner, at least in this shot.
Yeah.
I trust that Erik Voss actually
scrutinized it, looked at it as close as possible. That's definitely taller. It's extra.
He was like, I definitely passed elementary school, and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's including the attic.
Notice in the sky is a glowing red eye.
I saw that.
Reminding us, of course, of the red edges of Wanda Maximoff's hex reality in WandaVision. This whole nightmare could be being projected into Strange's mind by the Scarlet Witch. Since the commercials in WandaVision were confirmed to be messages from Strange to Wanda, these two share a psychic link. Now, this Strange has a patch of blue sewn into the cloak of levitation, an inverse of the red patch on blue of Defender Strange, who saves America Chavez in a second. Blue versus red seems to be an important point of contrast in this film. Strange has been shifted from his normal red tones to blue tone, along with a lot of the settings in this to signal passivity, all to contrast Wanda Maximoff's red chaos and violence. Now, on the other side of the Sanctum doors, there's a reverse shot of Strange's entrance from the first trailer. Now we see how the stormy sea has claimed the whole Sanctum structure, save for the central staircase, which now extends up and up into nowhere, like it's
going into heaven,
luring one to heaven, except it's not. It goes into this hellish red eye. And at the base of this staircase, these weren't there the past times we saw the Sanctum. Now these two statues, one male, one female, both bearing torches, may be representing the Maximoff twins. Then a teacup shatters on the ground. Behind it looks like the wheel of an old wheelchair. Now this isn't exactly the wheelchair of Professor X from the X-Men films, but I suspect a lot is gonna be changing for whatever cameos show up in this film. Then America Chavez gets strung up in front of a star portal, which if you look closely opens up to endless more star portals.
Oh shit, so it does.
This is her best known power, to kick open these star-shaped portals, and we might actually be seeing the origin of her powers right here. We actually saw this same setting in the first trailer. I think it is her home reality, the Utopian Parallel. In the comics, the Utopian Parallel faces destruction from black holes, so her mothers sacrifice themselves, their particles dispersing throughout the multiverse, and the creature attacking her here may be, go with me on this, the Demiurge, who is the embodiment of Earth's sentient life in the comics the original source of her powers, and we should mention is one final form of Billy Kaplan Wiccan, Wanda Maximoff's son, which could be how this film ties the fate of Wanda and her sons to that of America Chavez. Then
I got chills.
The Demiurge hasn't really been shown to be this hostile and demonic. Actually, another possibility here, this entity's ribbony appearance, like glowing electrical tape, could connect to Strange's spell, the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak, which he used to restrain Thanos in Infinity War, which could make this fella maybe Cyttorak himself.
I really hope that this movie is good. Listening to him break down everything he did in the last 4 minutes, I'm like, whoa, it's just hitting me how much ground this movie has decided to cover.
Yeah.
The zombies, America Chavez, the mutants, potentially Tom Cruise. And
then we've got like Wanda, Scarlet Witch.
There is so much ground to cover. Now, Multiverse of Madness, you can jump from one thing to the next, and it doesn't necessarily need to dive as deep because there's just sort of this acceptance when you're going between different dimensions and stuff like that.
Yes.
Like, okay, in this dimension, dogs are in charge or whatever. You know what I mean? I get that, but God, am I scared. Because I know that this movie's long. It's on the longer side, right? It's almost 3 hours, isn't it? Or did I?
Is it? I would imagine that it would be at least 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping it's a longer film, and God, I'm hoping it's good.
I feel like this is you going, I've been disappointed recently.
Yeah.
I watched Eternals. I wasn't happy. And I was very excited for that.
Yeah.
Now, the TV shot actually showed in this moment an alternate Defender Doctor Strange, hair tied back in a ponytail with stripes, saving America Chavez from this thing, using what looks like a three-dimensional version of Strange's normal flat eldritch magic to hold off the entity, which would then lead to the shot we see in this trailer of that same ponytail Doctor Strange tumbling through a star portal, a shot that flips upside down to find us back with our Doctor Strange in bed. But is it our Doctor Strange? Because his hands are fully healed. When in past films, Strange's hands are always meant to be forever scarred and weak. There's an iPad left open on his bed, coffee filters into test tubes on his nightstand. Strange said in this part of the trailer that he has the same dream every night. Hell Sanctum, his alternate self saving a kid, and then the nightmare begins. So the nightmare might be this reality that he wakes up into, a reality where he never became a sorcerer, he never injured his hands, and really just aged into a lonely douchebag falling asleep with his Pornhub tab still open. Moving on.
What?
Too real. Too real.
I did.
I'm too afraid to do that. I get afraid of waking up or knocking it over while I'm asleep.
When Strange says the nightmare begins, we should also acknowledge the possibility that the demonic entity Nightmare could be the villain of this film, as this idea was floated by the original director Scott Derrickson. The Marvel Studios title card turns purple and has tentacles snaking across the letters, evoking the limbs of Gargantos, but also one of the multi-limbed creatures in What If, which this movie seems to be showing the live-action versions of. In fact, on the poster for this film, in the lower right corner, one broken shard of glass shows this shield of Captain Carter, hinting that Haley Atwell may show up in this film as a live-action version of that character. Then Doctor Strange conjures these red orbs. If you look closely, they're coming from the Darkhold on the floor there. That's Marvel Lore's Book of the Damned that appeared on WandaVision first in Agatha's possession before it was claimed by Wanda. That's why the magic he conjures is now red like Wanda's chaos magic, as we saw her conjuring in that final WandaVision scene. We could be seeing a depiction of the various universes being connected in this movie, with Doctor Strange trying to locate one world in particular. And in the foreground of that shot, that looks like that is Wanda Maximoff standing there with him. But then Strange, suddenly afraid, slams all this magic back into the book as if he's trying to hide it from the person in the room with him. And on that page, you can see a triangle, perhaps a symbol of Marvel's Illuminati, a location he wants to hide from Wanda Maximoff, for reasons I'll get to later as we move on.
Oh, wow.
You cannot control everything, Strange. You opened the doorway between universes, and we don't know who or what will walk through it.
So Strange argues that he did what he had to do to protect our world. Our world, as in his actions saved his universe at the expense of all other universes. Strange used the Time Stone to give his universe an improper advantage to undo Thanos' snap, and more recently, he used his magic of the Runes of Kafkal to basically gaslight and warp society into a whole bunch of plot holes.
When you put it that way.
About this, that when Strange would push the laws of reality like this,
The bill comes due.
Always.
and like Strange in that What If universe bypassing an absolute point, this Strange's reality has begun to melt the same exact way and open itself up to interdimensional threats. We see a new look at this melting from the rooftop, individual bricks breaking off, cars floating in that blizzard, headlights still shining. Now the melting of the buildings here seems to merge into these black strands, reminding us of the Ancient One's dark branch timeline that she warned Bruce Banner about in Endgame. And here it's not just that reality is melting into nothing, but that chaos is spinning into one beneficiary destination.
He's saying it's all spinning towards a specific
destination.
It's all moving towards a specific target.
Yes, I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Like in one direction. Ha ha! That's an Eternals joke.
Where would it be headed?
To Wanda? I don't know.
Okay.
He's gonna tell us. Give him time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, presumably these things are happening as a means of overcorrection, right? And so I'm like, okay, what is it moving back towards? Is it like a big crunch? Have you ever heard about that?
No.
The big crunch? Okay, so there's this scientific principle, I think that's been mostly dismissed, of the universe is gonna die of one of two ways. Either like it
fire
spreads
or
out.
ice?
Yeah, fire or ice. It's like it either spreads out until completely cold and everything dies out that way, or it crunches and it's like a really, really hot ending, like a hellish ending, right?
Gotcha.
And so I'm like, okay, so what is that? I don't know. I'm just trying to inject something in there. It's like kind of sciencey sometimes with Marvel, you know? And so I'm like, all right, when everything's falling apart, is it migrating back towards a center point, like the source, as it were?
What do you know about the multiverse?
Viz had his theories. He believed it was dangerous.
He was right.
So we see Scarlet Witch once again holding the seance in the Carnage courtyard. We know that's where it is because you can tell from the statues behind her in the floor beneath her, the same tiling that we see beneath that Minotaur sorcerer later. We get a better look of him in this trailer. This is Rintrah from the comics. But yes, the Scarlet Witch is probably the one attacking Carnage because actually in the TV spot, the sorcerers in that courtyard raise their shields to some floating figure overhead. I'm pretty sure that is Wanda.
Really? That's Wanda?
It looks like a dude.
I thought that was Doctor Strange.
Yeah, to me that looks like Doctor Strange.
My thought in looking at this is Doctor Strange is up there leading the attack and everyone's preparing and he's like shouting down like shields up and everyone goes shields up. I thought he was part of...
But why would he be up there doing that? He's exposed. That doesn't make any sense.
He's up there looking ahead,
battle
maybe.
Formation.
You know, sometimes you have the captain at the... someone's at the front.
Yeah, but like they're... you wouldn't normally have the general.
I don't know. Fucking William Wallace is at the front of his army.
He was crazy and he died.
Oh, because Doctor Strange is just a, regular, Joe in the walks in the park.
That is Wanda. Now, compared to her look at the end of WandaVision during the seance, her Scarlet Witch wardrobe has evolved. Her sleeves now cover her arms fully, and darker tones streak through her chest piece and her tiara. Also, as we pointed out before, the tips of her fingers are black, similar to Agatha's fingers when she would use dark magic. And I like this right as we hear Strange say, Wanda. A shockwave blows out from her body. Now, in her orchard, if that is what it really is, Wanda tells Strange that Vision had theories about the multiverse that was dangerous. So, despite Vision warning Wanda, she still created an alternate reality in that Westview hex, and now continues to peer through alternate universes to find her children. And yes, this peaceful orchard with sheep is probably an illusion, because later in the trailer, as Wanda points out the double standard of Strange breaking the rules and him getting to be a hero, Strange is wearing the same outfit as he is here in the orchard, suggesting that Wanda's actually in a much darker place in this moment, both in her mindset and in her literal surroundings.
So that indicates that you were saying is correct, that he's worshipped as a hero. That's what the statue represents.
Yeah.
I thought that was erected by, he asked for that.
Is he a narcissist?
In that universe, I thought maybe he was,
so many people who, like dictators.
That's what I meant. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, you have dictators who make these statues out.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein had a statue for himself until, America.
America came. Yeah.
Moving on.
I'm sorry, Stephen. Your desecration of reality will not go unpunished.
So I've been hearing theories that all that is controlled by the Tom Cruise Iron Man. These are like things I glanced at on Twitter and then moved on as quickly as I could.
You're like, no spoilers, but we're watching the breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, he might mention it.
America Chavez and Christine Palmer to the ruins of what I think is the Utopian parallel. And Christine wears this sleek blue outfit, and that's because this might actually be an alternate Christine Palmer whom Strange found working at Illuminati HQ, because the TV spot reveals Christine in these clothes plus a white lab coat in their detainment sector. Then
I
Mordo,
just
or
thought she was
perhaps
a
an
doctor.
alternate version of Mordo that might actually be Sorcerer Supreme from his native reality, detained Strange using these nifty-looking handcuffs. I love the design of these because it's a mix of analog sorcerer machinery with runes engraved into that spinning lock in the middle.
That's dope.
Overall, they have this
That's dope.
chunky silver chrome of something more futuristic, something that might be connected to the vibranium tech of these Ultron Sentries. Ultron Sentries!
There you go.
Doctor Strange in this awesome location that looks like a Supreme Court Hall of Justice. We see 4 kneeling winged statues and then a warrior with a sword and a ring. The way a certain multiversal warrior, Captain Carter, emerged from a circular portal with her sword in hand. Now this whole interior, the glass ceiling, the curved staircases, the classic columns, is actually the interior of the British Museum in London, a place I've been to many times. I love the British Museum. It's famous for having the Rosetta Stone, one of the earliest artifacts that anthropologists have used to translate, decode, cross-reference old languages, which is super fitting for Charles Xavier to model his multiversal nexus point on such a cultural touchstone. Now, assuming this is Illuminati HQ, I find it fascinating the parallels between this and the Citadel of He Who Remains in Loki, which also had a lit tower, inner columns, and 4 statues in its central chamber, one of which was mysteriously destroyed. We never got an answer to what that was all about. Now, there are 6 chairs on the Illuminati panel, but we only see 3 members in this trailer. Could Kang have been a 4th member of the Illuminati who was cast out, leading to him constructing his own crude imitation of the Illuminati Citadel, a citadel, and a sham judicial bureaucracy of his own, run by 3 puppets? It's just a theory.
That was a lot. That was a lot just now.
Yeah. Well, because we don't know anything about the Illuminati.
It's interesting that he said Kang and he didn't say He Who Remains. Obviously, like, our knowledge in this thing is extremely limited, especially compared to Erik Voss and, Team New Rockstars. But it just strikes me as odd that Kang would be part of a council of judgment of some kind at this tribunal thing, whatever that is. That seems odd to me because he's a conqueror. Like, I know what the response would be to this before I even say it. But like, he never mentioned anything that indicates that he was ever working with others. It seemed like the only person he worked with were alternate versions of himself.
Yeah.
And he was very clear about that at the end of Loki. Now, it's entirely possible he just didn't explain this aspect of his life.
Well, Erik is saying, he's going out on a limb here.
Okay, yeah.
We should tell him the truth.
Ooh, baby. Yes, one of the biggest reveals in MCU history, one that we will be unpacking for months to come. Yes, that was the voice of Patrick Stewart, Professor Charles Xavier in the Fox X-Men films, now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a member of what is almost certain to be the Illuminati. Now, Marvel's Illuminati is a secret alliance of Tony Stark, Charles Xavier, Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, and Namor. Black Panther was initially gonna be part of it, but he backed out. Actually, in Iron Man 2, Tony Stark had a little app on his phone labeled Illuminati. Fun little Easter egg there. Here, the Illuminati, if they will still go by that name in the MCU, seem to be serving as a
Hold on! You just blew past that. What are the implications of that?
That he's been a member all along. That they've been planning this for the past 20 years.
In Iron Man 2, Tony Stark had a little app on his phone labeled Illuminati. Fun little Easter egg there. But here, the Illuminati, if they will still go by that name in the MCU,
is it just an Easter egg?
Serving as a multiversal governing body with representatives from across universes. By bringing Fox X-Men characters into this, they're building on the meta logic from Spider-Man No Way Home. Marvel Studios is now adopting formerly separate cinematic universes as mere universes within their multiverse and expanding to the Fox X-Men titles. But if Patrick Stewart is a representative from a separate reality, that could limit how much of that separate reality we actually see in this movie, and which other Fox X-Men cameo just yet. Like Ian McKellen Magneto, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, maybe not, but Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, very likely, as he has been long confirmed to cross over to the MCU, and now that door has been opened. I mean, this could also give us some context, finally, to why Evan Peters was cast as Wanda's brother Pietro in her Hex. Now, yes, the show producers did say this is just a Ralph Boner joke, but the logic is all in place now. We never saw Ralph after Wanda's Hex, so it could just be as simple as Wanda's ability to warp reality might have caused her to pull the likeness of a Pietro from the nearest adjacent universe. Like if Tom Holland Peter Parker were to die in the MCU and Wanda Maximoff wanted to create a pocket reality where Peter was alive once more, the Peter in that Hex might look like Andrew Garfield. If that makes sense to you, Evan Peters actually being Pietro from his Fox X-Men timeline, crossing over into WandaVision could make an equal amount of sense.
Is that making sense to you? Because it's making sense to me. Do you need some help?
I feel stupid. She willed it into existence that this person who looks like her brother would show up.
She wanted to create her brother.
Okay.
And so she was using her magic and pulled in her brother, but from another universe. So still her brother.
Okay, I get that, but he's an actor in the show as the boner person.
Right, but it's not really that, though. It's
so that was just a misdirect?
I think that's a misdirect. At least I feel like that's kind of what Erik Voss is implying. They said, oh no, we just did it to do a Ralph Boner joke, but...
Hold on, I apologize. I just want to hear this part again.
Okay, go ahead.
But the logic is all in place now. We never saw Ralph after Wanda's hex, so it could just be as simple as Wanda's ability to warp reality might have caused her to pull the likeness of a Pietro from the nearest adjacent universe.
What messed me up when he said pull the likeness. Does that mean she pulled someone that looks like that dude, but it's not that dude?
You're thinking about this really hard. Now you're making me confused.
But you know what I mean? Like, did she pull the Fox X-Men Quicksilver and he just got dubbed another personality because in this, when he got pulled in, he became an actor instead of staying Quicksilver? I might be overthinking the shit out of this.
I think you're overthinking the shit out of this.
I'm trying to make sense of what he's saying, and I'm like, oh, you said likeness, and that completely changes the meaning of everything that is being said here. When you say likeness, that means it's not... Because you mentioned Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, he said that it's the equivalent of our Peter Parker had died.
Yeah.
And if she wanted to pull in a Peter Parker, then it might turn out that Peter Parker might have the likeness of Andrew Garfield because he's from an adjacent universe.
But it would be freaking... confusing if you brought in Andrew Garfield, who's clearly Spider-Man in another dimension, but really his name is Ralph Boner. And he's an actor pretending to be Spider-Man. I'm not confused by the concept of multiple Peter Parkers, multiple Spider-Man from different universes. That's not throwing me at all. The idea that she has a brother that she recognizes, even though it doesn't look anything like the brother that she grew up with, but she just recognizes it because she has this power that goes beyond, one universe. I get all that. What throws me off is his name being Ralph Boner or whatever it is. It's like... But in that universe, he recognizes himself as an actor who's trying to dupe her for some odd reason. That's what messes everything up.
Is it possible that her magic could have done that? Or
that
as
would
you
be
say,
wildly stupid.
Or as you say, perhaps he's saying she found a likeness, so she found someone who looked like Quicksilver, except in this universe, he's an actor, and his name is Ralph Boner.
Okay, see, that's where I was unclear. It's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, well, that's fine. Just express yourself more clearly.
Now, meanwhile, I don't know if this is the Charles Xavier from the exact Fox X-Men timeline, whatever that was at the end of that series, because one thing that was clear is that Charles Xavier died in the year 2029 in Logan after it was revealed he accidentally killed all the X-Men, or most of them. I think it's likelier that this Charles could be from a branch timeline within that universe, because time travel screwed up a lot of stuff there, let's be honest. He actually could be something closer to a live-action version of the X-Men 97, a version of Charles Xavier that existed in a branch timeline that eventually discovered multiversal technology. Now yes, there are 6 chairs, so let's try to fill these chairs, who they belong to. 2 of the figures are seated, and one walks in with a cane. So I'm wondering if this could be Charles, who in this form has found his ability to walk once more. Now the seated figure on the left wears a form-fitting suit that you could say looks a lot like the vibranium armor of Black Panther.
Yeah.
And yes, this Illuminati lineup may include a new actor playing a variant T'Challa. However, I think this particular figure just looks a bit more slender in the arms, like Reed Richards. But that would also make it less likely to be John Krasinski. Yeah, let's be honest, he's jacked, Ryan. But let's slide over to that other seated figure who is hooded. Could this be Sorcerer Supreme Mordo? Or alt-reality Photon or Spectrum Monica Rambeau? Or were those Ultron sentries a clue that one member of this panel is actually Ultron Infinity from What If? Or that brilliant ship of Theseus White Vision from WandaVision? But my favorite version of this would be this could be a reality in which Tony Stark's Ultron protocol actually succeeded instead of turning on him, which led to him being able to evolve into the superior Iron Man, one played by Tom Cruise? I mean, we've heard this speculation for years, and now it just seems all possible, doesn't it? But let's focus on what Charles actually says here. We should tell him the truth. What truth? The truth that Strange maybe didn't do anything wrong, or that him becoming a sorcerer was a mistake, or that all of this is just some Kang-exposed sham organization? Perhaps, but I think the truth here is that the MCU that we have loved all these years is not the core reality of this multiverse.
No!
Instead, we have actually been living in an incomplete post-House of M reality, where mutants have been erased this whole time.
Greg said that too.
Yeah, Greg said that. Yeah, he did.
Oh my God, he must feel so validated.
I know. He must be like, vindicated!
Yeah.
And now, it is time to fix that. Let's move on.
Yeah, he's got to talk about those dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
Things just got out of hand.
Okay, some real bonkers shit here. Doctor Strange and America Chavez fall through a reality with dinosaurs, a T-Rex fighting a Triceratops, but then to top that, they insanely smash into an animated cartoon reality. This
Whoa!
combined with
I
doors open to
missed that.
I
crossovers with
completely
What
did
If.
not
This
see
could
that.
actually be how the animated Captain Carter gets roped into this. Then Strange and America explode into cubic puzzle pieces, a visual that looks
That
like a
completely
mix of Drax's
flew over
Reality
my
Stone
head.
hit in Infinity War and Joe
Yeah, I
Quesada's
said that.
art of the Scarlet Witch on the House of M variant cover. Some of their blocks look like stones from a statue, and you can actually see the rows of Steven's individual teeth still intact in his gums on each block. On to the next clip.
You break the rules. Look out! To become a hero. I do it. I become the enemy.
So yeah, it looks like Wanda will invade Illuminati HQ and get into a huge brawl with someone who looks like they're going binary the way Captain Marvel does. But if
Yeah.
you look at that person closely, this is a woman of color. Now, I know some of you think this is Tom Cruise with a goatee, but that's just a contouring of her cheeks.
See, okay. I actually thought it was Captain Marvel.
You should have kept that in.
And I
Did you cut
deleted
it.
I deleted it because people kept saying, "Oh, that's Tom Cruise," and I was like, "Well, shit, I don't want to look stupid," so I took it out of the video.
Stand your ground, Jabby Koei. Be proudly stupid, or just accept that you're smarter than the rest of us. Or somewhere in between, I don't
Cruise's
know.
figure is not this womanly, folks. This is definitely either Monica Rambeau or her mother, Maria Rambeau. Maria Rambeau's call sign was Photon, and in the main MCU, she died of cancer during the blip. But in WandaVision, Monica Rambeau powered up into the superhero we assume will either be Photon or Spectrum, and the moment that happened, her body was split into several alternate selves as she passed through that hex wall. And I think one of those alternate selves could be this one we are seeing now.
Oh shit!
Monica fighting Wanda seems to be the most epic collision, considering these two were both there for the Battle of Westview in WandaVision. Then we see the attack on Cumberbatch in the tea room that we saw in the 2016 film, including Master Hamir returning from that film. Then a close-up of America Chavez gives a good look at her wardrobe. Stars embroidered on her jean jacket, along with the phrase Amor es amor, love is love, and a flag pin signaling some LGBTQ+ representation. Gargantos throws the bus with an ad on the end for La Llave Coffee, the key, with the tagline, unlock a better day. And then over to the left, a phone booth has an ad for Celestial Tea, the magic of tea. Then I love this shot. Strange looks up at another alternate sanctum with a statue out front, a statue that has no facial hair, though in this New York, greenery and oddly curved wind turbines cover all the buildings.
I did
and
notice
white
that.
flowering trees line the streets,
It's very
trees
pretty.
like the ones in Wanda's fake orchard. So in Strange's nightmare, we saw the darkest timeline. Here, this looks like the brightest timeline, where a variant Strange has used his powers only to better society. Moving on.
That doesn't seem fair.
Okay, so interesting. Two Wandas meet each other, and this is Wanda's Westview house in WandaVision. You can see two scooters in the background belonging to her sons, Billy and Tommy. One of their baseball gloves on the floor there. But this place is wrecked. The staircase handrail, the balusters are broken, as if there was a fight between these two Wandas. And the standing one is the one who is barefoot. Youch! I actually wonder if this kneeling Wanda tried to recreate the Westview hex to have her children once more, but failed. And now, defeated, she's letting the darker side of her identity take over. If you think about it, the last time we saw her in WandaVision, her consciousness was split into 2 conscious selves. Something people who astrally project normally can't do. There was one in casual wear brewing tea, and then the other one in the Scarlet Witch form searching for her kids actively. And now I am wondering which of those 2 is actually the deadlier threat. The one who's searching for her kids, or the one who's just sipping tea, not giving up? We see that shot again of Mordo striking Strange's cuffs. Now I'm wondering if Mordo might be doing this on purpose to free Strange so that Strange can help them fight this invading Scarlet Witch. But it might be too late because a huge explosion from red chaos magic tears through the HQ, leading to these elaborate fireworks as we think Rambeau's form gets blasted through that explosion. Then this other sorcerer uses a sick move with a lasso to attack Gargantos. The TV spot actually showed America Chavez beneath this gross underbelly, and in these close-ups you can see how each of its tentacles suckers are actually barbed with teeth. Then this gnarly shot of Wanda aiming red chaos magic. She's at the doorway of Illuminati HQ. Her face is bleeding like crazy, and separately she has black ink stains on her shirt. Behind her in the distance looks like one of the bells of Camartage. Perhaps after sacking that location and holding her seance there, she used that to access the gateway to this compound. But why does she want to get in here? Well, when the camera zooms into her eye, there's a brief image of 2 holding cells. These are Illuminati detention cells. Dr. Strange was cuffed in one of these, and in the TV spot, Christine Palmer works among other techs who hold America in another cell. So I think the reason Wanda hasn't been able to find a reality with her sons, the reason why her attempt to recreate Westview didn't work, is that the Illuminati are detaining Billy and Tommy here in these 2 cells. And
what
for
a
Wanda,
detail!
That's especially infuriating because it's exactly what Hydra did to her and her twin brother, locking them up in adjacent cells. Like in the comic House of M, all of this madness comes from a denial by Professor X and by Doctor Strange to allow Wanda reality with her children. And it's gonna end with Wanda drastically warping all that reality, but in this case, I think a restoration of mutants alongside Avengers in the MCU. On to the final clip. With a version of Doctor Strange and Wong on this snowy mountaintop trying to rein in these demonic figures. These beings look like they're actually made of the same inky texture that the buildings and the other surfaces are melting into, as if this is the chaos that it's all bleeding into. Now the TV spot actually shows Strange facing another peak across the way with some winged devil at the peak of it. That spot also shows a close-up of Strange whose face is rotting away, looking a lot like his zombie Strange self in one of episode 5. I pointed out because the TV spot also includes a shot of Wanda looking especially zombie-like. Now, while Zombie Strange in that episode got devoured by ants, Zombie Wanda survived and she returned in the final episode. So I don't know if these are zombies as much as they're just animated corpses, but it is insane to see their souls so strong that they can keep their bodies intact long after their flesh should have expired.
This is just a random thing I'm gonna throw out there. If you have one dimension with Zombie Strange and Zombie Wanda, and in that particular one, Zombie Strange is eaten or whatever.
Yeah.
Presumably, there's another dimension where he didn't get eaten.
Yes.
Final shot shows this rotting Strange blocking a rift into darkness. Dozens of inky skeletons trying to shove out past him. As skeleton arms fan out behind him, evoking the images of Icon pose that he formed when fighting Thanos in Infinity War. Now, counteracting that spell was the one time we saw the Soul Stone being used in the MCU. And I find it interesting that Strange's soul is all he has left. The film title comes together from hundreds of pieces, like the shattering and reassembling shards of reality in this movie. But this is the third title design we've seen. It's almost like the studio wants us to constantly reframe the reality in which we see this movie every time they talk about it.
Wow.
This is insane. To say the least, I thoroughly enjoyed this breakdown. How he set this up at the very beginning of the video was well earned. He's like, I've gone above and beyond this one, y'all. And he was like, right. He was totally right. He went above and beyond.
I can't believe that he looked all the way into her eyes.
Well, I mean, no, it was the camera was crash zooming.
Well, yeah. No, I know, but that he would have had the foresight to be like, well, let me just check her pupils and irises.
Well, I'm sure Team New Rockstars is going pause, play, looking at every individual frame here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. It's pretty darn cool to see these revelations and whatnot. Any other commercials that come out for Doctor Strange, I'm going to say right now, I'm not doing any more, I'm not looking at any more breakdowns for anything going forward. Because like, I feel like a lot has been revealed here. I'm like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Put it back inside the box. I don't want to know anymore. Oh my God.
And my excitement is still like rock solid at a 10.5. And so I'm like, let's just leave it at that. The only complaint I have in this whole thing is America Chavez throws this sucky, weak-ass punch. And I see it every single trailer. At least like get the punch right.
She said that she was doing a lot of her own stunts. Like, good for you, girl.
I don't need actors to do their own stunts unless they're gonna look sick. Unless they're gonna look awesome.
I mean, it's kind of hard to get a stunt person to throw a punch for you when you're seeing your face.
I know it's like a super hardcore nitpick. When everything looks stellar, it's almost like putting Daniel Day-Lewis in a movie. Like, all your other actors better be like amazing. Because otherwise, even the best of actors will look crappy next to him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
It's like an invitation to step up your game. If you ever get cast in a movie with Daniel Day-Lewis or like you're in something like this, it's like, oh, now I have to really step up my game.
Yeah.
So
learn how to throw a punch.
Oh.
I'm criticizing her before we even watched the film.
I'm sure she's lovely.
I'm sure that like acting wise, she's stellar and like she's on point. It's just that one punch that they keep showing us again and again.
Oh my God, just forgive the girl. She can kick portals out of stars.
That's the VFX team. Anyway, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I am just flabbergasted.
Hyped.
Definitely some crazy revelations.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm Jabby Kuwait. This is
Achara Kirk.
Peace out.